Hello, my pack, my tribe. Welcome to Howling After Dark. So, tonight's show is because I'm getting really tired of feeling like the only one watching some of these videos on YouTube and some of these shows on TV that are either misidentifying spirits or attributing attributes to them that they don't necessarily deserve. So for those that don't know me, I'm going to go ahead and do my little bio, I guess you could say. When I was a child, I had a near-death experience, as a result of which I can see spirits. And I don't just mean ghosts. I mean everything from ghosts to demons to angels to everything in between that you've never even heard of. I can see them. Okay? Unless they actively hide from me, I'm going to see them. Okay? To be really clear about this isn't a hoax. It's not fakery. I'm not asking anybody for money. Okay? I've actually gone to 3 separate therapists, and they've all said the same thing, that I am completely sane. When it comes to this stuff anyways. It's not like schizophrenia. I'm not hallucinating. I legitimately see what I see. Okay? Is the takeaway from that. So there's that part. So since I was a child, I'm 52. So do the math. For 30 years, 30 plus years actually now, I have been not only a paranormal investigator, I have been a practicing medicine man. What that means is I do house cleansings. To those that don't know, essentially what that is to kind of equate it, maybe you can understand it better like this. It's akin to like a Catholic priest blessing a house to remove negative entities from that home. I do the same thing. I just don't use holy water. I use sage. Smudging. Sage smoke. That is my people's holy water. Because I am Native American on my mom's side of the family, and a little bit on my dad's side of the family too. But I'm very familiar with that culture. I was brought up in it. So there you go. Now, moving on. So when I say that there's a difference between some of these things and other things that are often getting confused for them, you know I mean it. Whether you believe me or not, you know that I mean it. Okay? So I want to make this very, very clear. There is a difference between a shadow person and a shade. Okay? Or a shadow person and other negative entities. Okay, let me explain it like this: shadow people are not negative entities. Okay, they can be, but just because it's a shadow person doesn't necessarily mean it's negative. Right? What a shadow person is a person. It's the spirit of a person. It is the exact same thing as an apparition. The only difference, okay, and this is coming from observation, years of it, and doing my due diligence and investigating these things and communicating with them to find out. A shadow person and an apparition are the same thing. The only difference is the amount of energy it takes for them to be a shadow person versus an apparition. Being a fully detailed apparition actually takes so much energy that after you see them and they disappear, the reason they disappear isn't because they don't want to be seen. It's because it weakens them. It literally takes so much energy for them to be that they can't hold it for very long. Like, you would never have a 2-hour conversation with an apparition. It would never happen. Unless, of course, they were standing right on top of a transformer or something that they could soak up energy from. Okay? A shade often looks like a shadow person. However, they are very, very different, not only in the fact that they're very, very negative entities, also in their behavior. Okay, so they don't act anything like a person. They might be able to mimic a person for a time, to get close to you, but it never lasts very long, because this is what a shade is. So shades are negative attachments, all right? So basically what these things do is they attach themselves to you. Like, the way I see it is like picture like kind of like a genie coming out of a bottle, only you're the bottle. And it's black smoke. So like the upper part is like vaguely human, but the bottom part is like this smoky tendril that like wraps around you and disappears into you. And what these things do is they will attach themselves to you when you're at your lowest, right? Because that's what attracts them. They're attractive to negative emotion and negative energy, right? And what they'll do in order to feed themselves once they're attached to you is they will actually cause negative shit to happen around you so that they have more negativity to feed off of. However, I will say that these things are relatively weak. In my experience, they are far easier to get rid of than just about any other negative entity. They're kind of cowards, honestly, because they operate the way they do because people don't notice them until it's too late. If ever. Alright, so there's that. There's also these things I call gravelings, kind of in honor of the old Showtime show, Dead Like Me. Although they look a bit different than the things in that show. What these things appear as is they're like little dogs. Like little bulldogs, kind of. But they're all black. And the only thing you can really make out is like their shape and their eyes. Because their eyes glow like this golden orange color. As far as I know, now I could be wrong, aside from the one or two times I've actually caught them in photographs myself, as far as the wider world goes, they've only been captured. Only one has been captured once in a photograph. It was the episode of Ghost Adventures, like I think it was like season 1 or 2, when they went to the the Moundsville Penitentiary in West Virginia, and it's this picture that Aaron took of Nick Groff, where Nick is standing in this doorway, and the door is like an office or something, I think. Because you see like this file cabinet, and on top of the file cabinet is this little shadow with glowing eyes. That's a Graveling. Now, people would see them, if they would see them, which is in itself kind of rare. But if people were to see them, they would automatically think, oh, well, they're evil. That's like a hellhound or something. No, they're not. They're kind of like the sheepdogs of the paranormal world. They just kind of keep everything where it's supposed to be. Make sure that things aren't getting out of control. Basically, they don't even really interact at all with human beings. They have no interest at all with the living. There's some other things too that people seem to misunderstand, I guess. One of which is orbs. Now, I will say this. I follow the 98% rule. What I mean by that is 98% of orbs are dust, moisture particles, something explainable like that. However, every once in a while, you get that rare 2% that is something legitimate. But as far as I can tell, I believe that orbs are their traveling form. It's the form they take when they want to get from A to B very quickly. Which I guess in a way would make sense, because it probably wouldn't take them much energy to pull that form off, number one. And it's a very expedient form, even with physical things. That's the reason why a baseball is round, is because it's a very expedient shape. And they're actually, balls are actually very aerodynamic. That's why so many sports use them. So I believe that it's their traveling form. But I will say I do follow the 98% rule. I will throw out legitimate orbs in photographs just because there's too much dust flying around for me to say, well, that's legit, Even among my own evidence, legitimate orbs are quote unquote really rare. Speaking of things that are rare, I'm not saying that demons don't exist, because they do. I've seen them. And they're horrendous, ugly, nasty, vile. I couldn't even begin to describe what they look like physically. Not that they're, necessarily physical, but yeah, the old, goat head and horns thing. I've never seen that. They're far worse. But in my experience, they're also kind of rare. Because I'm guessing only so many of them are allowed on this plane of existence at any one time. That's just my guess. I don't really know. I have seen angels, sort of. Well, the way they appear to me are like these vaguely human-shaped beings that are brilliant light. So it's hard to make anything out. A lot of things get so misunderstood. Like Dogman, for example, is another one. I'm going to say this. There's a big difference between Dogman and Skinwalker. Okay, Dogman is just Dogman. That form that they take, that kind of like reminiscent of a werewolf form, that's them all the time. Right? I don't believe that they're necessarily what you would call a cryptid. I believe they're actually nature spirits. And that's why they, just like Bigfoot, I don't believe Bigfoot is always physically there. But I'll, get into that in another show. But I believe they're very similar in that they're not necessarily physical 100% of the time. They're not physically manifested 100% of the time. That's my theory. But I have had an experience or two with Dogman, and they were not negative at all. In fact, they were kind of like pretty life affirming, kind of actually. First experience was in one of the metro parks in Ohio. And I see this, I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but I went off this trail that I was on into the woods because I saw something and I chased it down, and it turned out to be a Dogman. And when I caught up to it, it was standing probably 20 feet away from me, looking at me. And it kind of looked like, well, look up a picture of a Dogman. It's kind of what they look like. But it kind of smiled at me. The way like German shepherds can smile, dogs can smile. Yeah, kind of like that. And then it tilted its head and then ran away and disappeared. But the feeling I was getting from it was very positive. I didn't feel like I was being threatened. I didn't feel like I was in danger. Probably also because I wasn't stepping over the line, so to speak. I think the few people that have had legitimate negative experiences with them, either it wasn't Dogman and it was something like a Skinwalker, Or it was a negative experience, but it was a negative experience because they did something that wasn't okay. In their eyes, because they protect nature as far as I can tell, or at least something in that vein. So, like, if you were to go into the woods, chop down a buttload of trees to build a cabin there, that might piss them off. That kind of thing. So, just keep that in mind. When you're watching videos, or no, hold on, no, down. Sorry. When you're watching these videos or whatever, just keep that in mind. Don't always take their word for it, because they don't always know. And you can't feel what it actually feels like through a video. If you really want to know these things, you need to go out and experience it yourself, I guess is my whole point. Anyways, that's my time for now. My pack, my tribe. Peace out.